tell me when you're ready. Ready to go?
1 second. Sorry. All right, I'm good.
All right. Thank you all for being here. It is an honor to announce an historic settlement agreement that we reached in the last day or two in the ongoing OG&E rate case. The agreement that was finalized between the parties resolves all issues in the case and delivers to OG&E customers a $64 million rate reduction. And that is the largest rate reduction in Oklahoma history for an Oklahoma energy utility. In addition to the $64 million rate reduction, OG&E customers will also be receiving a one-time refund as a result of the savings from the corporate income tax cut. The company will be passing along $18.5 million to customers as a result of that tax cut, and that's the one-time refund. OG&E ratepayers will receive the one-time savings from the tax cut and will begin seeing the rate reduction, the refund in their monthly bill in July, as well as the rate reduction. So they'll be seeing both the rate reduction in July as well as the refund, assuming the Corporation Commission approves the parties' agreement later this month. Before I outline the details, I want to say that this could not have happened without the willingness of all parties involved who work together toward the common goal to benefit OG&E customers while meeting the company's needs to provide reliable electric service to its customers. Parties involved in the case were the Attorney General's Office, Public Utility Division of the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, OG&E and the OG&E Shareholders Association, the OIEC, the Oklahoma Industrial Energy Consumers, the AARP, Oklahoma Energy Results, LLC, the federal executive agencies, Walmart, Oklahoma Cogeneration, LLC, and CMC Steel Oklahoma. Thank you to the representatives with several of these organizations who've joined us today. I appreciate you and your teams for dedicating the substantial amount of time and resources it took to get this deal done for Oklahomans. I also want to recognize the Utility Regulation Unit in my office. Let's see, who's here? Dara, you want to come in? And Jared. Let's see, who else is here?
That's it today.
All right. So an important part of leadership is surrounding yourself with people who are smarter and more talented than you are. And there is a case study here on my right. Dara Derryberry, who heads up our Public Protection Unit, the Utility Regulation Unit reports to her, and Jared Haynes were both integral to the negotiations, the successful negotiations. And it wouldn't have been possible without your commitment to representing our clients, OG&E customers, to ensure the best result possible. Dara and her team are tireless advocates for reasonable utility rates, not only for OG&E, but for all utility customers. It seems like they work night and day to ensure reasonable rates are passed from utility companies to ratepayers. Thank you all again for your great work. Another part of the Attorney General's office is to work cooperatively with utility companies like OG&E. Our commitment is to keeping rates reasonable for Oklahomans who rely on these companies' services. To that end, we work with the companies to ensure that they remain attractive to investment. It's important that they stay financially healthy and able to continue providing reliable and affordable service to Oklahomans. For OG&E to agree to this deal is monumental and illustrates another reason why the company is one of our state's best corporate citizens. The historic $64 million rate reduction, as I said, represents the largest ever received by customers of an Oklahoma energy utility and will put real money back in the pockets of hardworking Oklahomans. The parties worked countless hours to achieve this relief. We are hopeful that the Corporation Commission will take swift action to approve this agreement before the end of the month so that these savings and the refund can be enjoyed by ratepayers as soon as possible. If the settlement is approved, the savings from the federal income tax cut will redound to the benefit of the standard residential OG&E customer as follows. There will be an average reduction for residential customers of OG&E of $18.71 on their July bill. Each subsequent month, the average savings for a standard residential customer will be approximately $4.44. For non-residential customers, business and government agencies, you'll see an aggregate savings across the board of $32 million. Again, I want to thank OG&E and the rest of the parties who worked to make this agreement happen. Here to discuss what this rate reduction means to OG&E customers, I want to call on the State Director of the AARP, Sean Voskel, to say a few words. Sean's leadership and support at AARP is indispensable when we're dealing with these cases and how they impact senior citizens in the state. Sean, thank you for being here.
Good morning. This is a very special day for AARP to be at the table. We appreciate the leadership of General Hunter working on behalf of customers, and especially residential customers of Oklahoma. When we talk about $64 million, that's a big number. And I went back through many of these rate cases that we've been involved with through several years. And the largest rate reduction that I found was about $635,000. So what's great about this settlement of $64 million, residential customers get about half of it. So they get a piece of the pie, which many times they're left out of the process. We worked really hard at the General's office. In fact, a few weeks ago, we talked to thousands of AARP members across the state who are struggling with high costs of electric rates, but also balancing that with high cost of prescription drugs, the other utilities, rent, prescription drugs, and they talked to the General about how an additional rate increase on their utility bill, what that would mean to them. And they're struggling. And so this would be welcome news for thousands of customers. By talking to our members, we had over 500 calls that went to the Corporation Commission explaining why the rate increase would do to them and the impact it would have on their lives. So this is very welcome news. We appreciate the work by all the parties. It's important that we send this message to the administrative law judge that the parties agree and urge the commissioners who have ultimate say to adopt this settlement agreement so customers can realize these savings in July. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Here to speak on behalf of the Public Utility Division for the Oklahoma Corporation Commission is Public Utility Division Director Brandy Reed. Brandy.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you. It's an honor to be here today. We're very excited to announce this settlement between the parties. The commissioners always ask parties to work towards settlement because that is where the best interests are balanced many times. And so we're thankful in this case that all the parties came to the table. We had robust settlement discussions. Everybody came ready to try to find good solutions that didn't leave anybody out. We are excited to see these good reductions for the residential ratepayers, especially during this difficult time of hot summer heat, to see these effects possibly go in sooner. And so we are looking forward to that. We do want to appreciate the Attorney General's office for being there, as well as our industrial consumers, AARP, the numerous different parties that joined. Everybody came to the table. And so we do believe that this settlement is a fair and reasonable alternative. We believe it's going to result in some good benefits for all customer classes, as well as an opportunity for OG&E to keep the great service that they have, reliable, safe service. So we just want to thank the parties for that and the long hours put in by the different people that came to the table to perform that work and do some unprecedented things timing-wise to get things worked out in detail, to get this before our administrative law judge for the upcoming hearing on the merits, which we're looking forward to, as well as getting this before the commissioners and showing them what the parties were able to put together and hopefully show them the reasonableness of it and get this in place as soon as possible. So thank you for having us here today.
Thanks, Brandy. So before we answer questions, I just want to, for the record, memorialize the rapid response of the Corporation Commission to the application that we filed at the end of the year to ensure that the corporate income tax rate cut enacted by the President and Congress would redound to the benefit of ratepayers. So the Commission's decision to require tracking of the corporate income tax reduction was a swift response to our applications, and were it not for the decision of the Commissioners, settlement in this case would not been as rapid or as expeditious. So it's important to recognize the response of the Commission to the applications that we filed. Secondly, I want to, again, for the record, note that a number of public utilities around the country are contesting this approach to the corporate income tax cut. They are in effect fighting a number of utility commissions around the country with regard to the Commission's effort to return this tax cut to ratepayers. So it is an important. It is important to note that as a good corporate citizen, OG&E was acting in the best interests of their customers, and they need to be given a good deal of credit for that. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions, as are, I believe, Sean and Brandy. So if you all want to come back
General
in.
Hunter, can you give us some background on the case for those of us who don't follow the Corporation Commission in this issue?
So big picture was OG&E requested a significant rate increase. I think that the parties to the case who were contesting the rate increase took issue with that in a pretty aggressive way. I mean, our original number, I think, was $100 million. We, as the parties sat down and there was good discussion back and forth over time, we got closer together. That's how negotiations are supposed to work, and this is a good place to end up. I mean,
they started with a rate increase request. Do you know how much that was?
Yeah, so Brandy, do you want to speak the details there for us?
1.8.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the original request from OG&E was for a $1.8 million increase, and for return on equity to be applied to their riders, which all customers also play. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but it was a $1.8 million increase, and that would have been their calculation net of the tax savings. So that would have had that already reflected in their 1.8 increase number.
Randy, can you spell your first and last
Brandy,
name?
B-R-A-N-D-Y,
All right.
last name Reed, W-R-E-A-T-H.
And what's your title?
Director of the Public Utility Division.
Thank you.
You mentioned a moment ago, Brandy, that there were some unprecedented timing issues. What did you mean by that?
Well, for the Public Utility Division, we're charged with verifying tariffs that are filed in these cases, which are the company's legal right to charge. And that usually is a 2 to 3 week process for us to do that, because there's hundreds of pages if you've ever looked at those. And so our team, led by Pharaoh Mitchell, Kathy Champion, and Zach Quintano, were able to work with the company and get those reviewed in less than a day by putting in real long hours, pulling in a full team, pulling folks from out of town, and working with the company and other parties to get those reviewed in a manner so these could actually be filed with the stipulation, so that ALJ can literally have everything in front of them as they make their consideration in the hearing to approve or not on this settlement.
Back in January, there were a few hearings at the Corporation Commission where I think there was 5 leading utility companies that you all mentioned. Is this as a result of that, or is this totally separate?
Well, I think it is integral to the applications that we filed. So this is the first formal response that a public utility has made with regard to the process of the refund and the rate reduction. So I think it's been central to the result here, the fact that those applications were filed and that the commission took a very prompt response to ensure that there was tracking of the income tax rate cut.
Do you know how much that income tax rate cut was expected to save?
In the aggregate, somewhere between $100 and $150 million
What's
for
al-
all affected public utilities, regulated utilities.
What's also
Sean?
important is that, you know, while the rate increase of $3 million may not sound large, they were going to take the tax savings and keep that. So that was a net result of OG&E keeping the tax cut savings that should have went to customers.
How are the other 4 companies, like, are you guys any closer reaching a settlement with them at all, or, because the other companies that were mentioned were public service companies, Oklahoma Natural Gas, or any of
Stay
those?
tuned.
I
Stay
love
tuned.
that. I love that news, but
Yeah.
I mean, is it any closer at all, or?
No, well, you know, whenever we get to a point where there's agreement or there's or the commission issues an order, in the meantime, it wouldn't be fair for us to comment, I don't think.
Yeah, those are pending cases.
So are negotiations continuing in those cases similar to what took place with OG&E?
We're always open to negotiation. As Lyndon Johnson said, let us reason together. So I know I speak for everybody that our approach to getting these matters concluded is, if